Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter what part of the world you are in. Welcome to the Chicken Box. That's right, the Chicken Box powered by the Afro American newspaper, Maryland's, the world's oldest black media company. Yes, 131 years. Y'all give it up for that. That is a long time of informing, educated, and inspiring. I'm one of your co-hosts, Kevin Impeccable Peck. Yes, that's right. I said chicken box. We'll get back to that. Dr. Draper, our CEO of the Afro, joins me. How are you this wonderful afternoon, Dr. Draper?
I'm well, Impeccable. Good to see you, and Courtney as well. Good to see you. Always happy to get on the box. So welcome to all of our viewers. I'm going to share the stream. Just go to that little box on your screen if you're on Facebook, and just share it so we can have an engaging conversation, not just among ourselves. But we're looking for you to weigh in as well.
Absolutely. Courtney, all the way from Chi-Town. How are you today?
I am blessed and grateful to be here. This Chi-Town weather is finally acting right, so it's starting to feel like summer. How are you?
Good. I'm gonna be in Chi-Town on Sunday. I'll hit you on another note on that. But welcome to the Chicken Box, everybody. If you're from Baltimore, you know it is four wings, fries, salt, pepper, ketchup, some hot sauce. It's a nice greasy box. If you're hungry, you're thinking about it now. You need to get a half and half. Some people in the other parts of the world call it an Arnold Palmer, but that is sweet tea and sweet lemonade. Do not get the unsweetened tea because it will mess up the half and half or the Arnold Palmer. But we're talking about the Chicken Box, and we created this platform a couple years ago during the pandemic for us to come speak our truth about situations. And today we're talking about something that if you don't own one, you want to own one, or you should think about owning one, or you need to own one. All of those three things. This is Black people versus the housing market. What's going on? Dr. Draper, jump in.
Impeccable. I just want to say kudos to us, Courtney, Impeccable, and yes, I'm one of the co-hosts. Chicken Box won an award last Friday.
Oh, we got sound effects. See that? Look at that, y'all.
For the Maryland DC Delaware Press Association awarded the Chicken Box. I think we got first prize for an interactive show like this. So congratulations.
Congratulations, you guys who have been tuning in. Thank you watching it on the weekend or just tuning in now. Let's get down to it because I'm ready to get into this. Black people versus the housing market. We have two fantastic guests. I represent, of course, the Gen X. You know how we go. We do things strong. Dr. Draper is the millennial Z boomer. I don't know.
I'm representing the boomer generation, and we taught Gen X how to do things strong.
Absolutely. And Courtney is our strong Gen Z. Z is that's the last alphabet out there. So I don't know what's next. I think they're gonna have to put double letters. But let's get right into it. We have two fantastic guests. One from one from the real estate market, and one from the the financial mortgage company market. Let's introduce Montez and Ron to the show.
So first today we have Ron Thomas joining us. Ron Thomas is a sales manager at Financial Services. All Financial Services is a full-service Black-owned and operated mortgage brokerage. Ron has over 15 years of mortgage industry experience that has given him the opportunity to assist individuals and families from all walks of life in fulfilling their dream of home ownership.
Welcome to the Chicken Box, Ron.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Dr. Francis, Tony. Thank you, Courtney. Montez, it's good to see you again. I really appreciate the opportunity, the platform. Thank you for the invite. Congratulations on 131 years of success. It's a true honor to be here. Thank you.
Welcome. And your partner in dime. I don't want to say crime. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me as well. Congratulations to the show and all your accolades as well. Yeah, I'm just super excited to be here today and have an awesome conversation with you all.
Well, let's get it started. This is Black people versus the housing market. How is the housing market looking, gentlemen, right now? I'll start with you. Actually, Montez, why don't you just give me your not your elevator pitch. Go a little higher than the elevator on your company and what you do.
Yeah, so I am associated with Keller Williams Realty Center. Me personally, I'm a top 100 Maryland realtor. Also, the number 2 individual agent out of 12,000 in the Maryland and DC region with Keller Williams. So I'm just have a lot of experience working in Baltimore City and I work all over. I'm licensed in Maryland, DC, and Virginia. But my family, I'm from Catonsville, so I have a lot of family in Baltimore City and Baltimore County and the outskirts. So definitely, I'm very well versed, with assisting people in this area, and I understand like how Baltimore is and how like just the different areas and how block by block Baltimore can be. And but I mean, again, it's just an amazing place to be, grow, and then seeing these communities be redeveloped and all the fascinating renovations that are happening in these areas. It's just really exciting to be a part of.
Welcome, Montez, and congratulations. 2 out of 12,000. That's like being number one to me. You're number one at the Afro, my brother. So thank you for you. That's supposed to mean you help a lot of people, Montez.
Yes,
that's what it means. And okay, so we got the real estate, and then we have the financial services. Ron, give us a little bit about what you do in your company.
Yeah, Ron Thomas. I'm the sales manager here at All Financial Services. We are a full service mortgage brokerage. We represent our community. I'm the sales manager now, and I've been a loan officer for over 15 years. So I have a really good grasp of finance, mortgage, helping folks basically find the roadmap to home ownership. And we are Black owned and operated, and my job is to help people, period, whether it be a client or our own loan officers who haven't been taught finance, who haven't been shown how to buy a house. And if they have, they've just been told what to do and hopefully trust whoever they're working with. But, helping people is what we're here for. We're helping about 45 to 50 families per month buy houses. Our niche is going to be home purchase. We do refinance. We do all of the loans that most folks do, but we have a niche in home ownership as far as purchase is concerned, and a few non-QM programs, which I would say a little bit unconventional type financing for folks that may have challenged credit, for folks that are looking to invest. All over the spectrum, full service mortgage lenders is what we are. We represent the people of Baltimore. However, we're licensed in 23 states, and we're expanding. So again, happy to be here and just give you a little bit about the housing market, share my experience with you, and I just realized that when you help people, everything else takes care of itself.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. This is a great and hot topic. The housing market. Everybody rides the interest rates. What's going on? They hear the news. Is the housing market crashing? Is it not crashing? I mean, the media puts such a spin on it that it makes people scared to buy a house. Montez, what is the temperature of the housing market right now? You on mute, Montez.
Got it. So we're in a climate where interest rates are higher. However, I even purchased 3 months ago in this high interest rate climate. So for me, it was just more about finding a home of my dreams. And often people say, marry the house, but date the interest rate. Once the rates go back down, the market is just gonna go back really crazy again, right? Go haywire, because again, affordability goes up. Lower interest rates, the more you can afford, in terms of house, right? So like at a 2% interest rate, I might be able to afford up to a $700,000 house, but now if rates are at a 5%, now maybe I only can go up to 550 or 500. So really where I'm at, I chose to purchase at a 7% interest rate because I was able to negotiate a really great deal on my home. But now I know once rates do actually drop, hey, I'm already sedentary. I'm already where I want to be. I can just go ahead and refinance my loan, and I'll already be set in place instead of having to go out there and compete and finally purchase a home. And then now it's going to be multiple offer situations on homes and things of that nature, because the market is going to be that much more competitive with that lower interest rate. So, we're at kind of, that's where we are right now, basically with the market.
And you threw out some good concepts, and some people understood them. And there's some people who didn't know how you got to 700 to 500, or and they probably said, "What? I am not even in the 150 range of buying a house, and I'm not there yet." So let's take it as if somebody has never bought a house before.
Yeah.
Okay, and they want to get out of the apartment, get out of grandma's house, get out of their mother's house, because they just can't take it anymore, or they just say, you know what, the mama says, look, in 1 year you got to be out of here, and here's the date. So you need to figure out how to buy a house or apartment, and we're saying, hey, shoot for home ownership. So first time home buyer, let me say, do we work out our financing first, or do we try to find a house? What do you say?
The number one thing, you absolutely go with a lender first. I know it's very exciting. So a lot of people like, let's go out and look at houses. Let's go out and look at houses. But listen, if the finances don't make sense, you will never be able to get that house. So I always say, get with a lender, really understand the different loan types, understand what a FHA loan is, understand what a conventional loan is, understand what a VA loan is, right? Fill out that mortgage application and then send over, like, pick 3 sample properties that, hey, maybe your realtor set you up on a Save Search, or maybe you're on Zillow or Redfin, and you see like, hey, I really like this $300,000 home. This looks like something that I would be interested in. After you fill out that mortgage application, at least send your lender 2 properties and then ask him to run numbers on the property, right? So number one, you want to look at what is the monthly payment for this $300,000 house. Number 2, what does that monthly payment consist of? What makes up that monthly payment? So, once it does come time to make a decision or make an offer on a home, you fully understand what that payment is comprised of. The next thing you want to look at, what is my cash to close? Your cash to close consists of your down payment and also your closing costs. So your down payment is what you have to put down on the loan. Like if you do an FHA loan, you have to bring 3.5% down. The bank finances 96.5%, but you have to put 3.5% down. The other part of that is your closing costs, right? So that's typically about 4%. That's state transfer taxes, loan origination fees, all of those miscellaneous fees that come across with, buying a house. So if you're not getting down payment assistance, I would budget somewhere between 7 to 7.5%, right? So again, it's really important that you send that statement, or that property over, because now your lender can say, hey, Montez, this is what it looks like if you want to buy that $300,000 house with using down payment, without using down payment assistance, and you have to bring that 7% to 7.5%. Well, now what if I say, hey, Ron, I only have about $10,000 to purchase this house. How can I make it work? Now Ron can show you some different down payment assistance options that may get to you only having to bring $10,000 out of pocket. But again, so that's why it really just starts with going over the numbers up front, so you can make a fully informed decision about what's going to work best for you, right? Because now you got to make sure, if you want to use down payment assistance, it's like, hey, Ron, do I qualify for this down payment assistance program? Because sometimes I've had people who want to use the down payment assistance programs, but they make too much money, right? So now they don't qualify for that program. So it's so many different nuances and variables. So that's exactly why you probably can tell, like, from, I just went over finances and stuff pertaining to finances the last 5 minutes. Now you can see why it's very important to make sure you go to the finance professional first. Because a lot of people say, I'm good. I got $15,000, $20,000. I'm good. Like, I know I can buy this $300,000 house, until you see those numbers at a 7% interest rate. And it's like, oh, this is a little bit more than what I bargained for. So again, it just makes the process that much more easier, and allows us to make fully informed and educated decisions by talking with a finance professional first.
All right, if you just tuned in, y'all, this is the Chicken Box. We're talking about Black people versus the housing market. We have 2 professionals, Montez McCray and Ron Thomas with Financial Service. Let's do this. Courtney, do you own a house yet?
I do not.
All right, Courtney's out. We're gonna do a role play. We're gonna do something different with Chicken Box.
Let's do it.
Courtney is our new home buyer, and she came across Montez and talked about he got her money in her house, and Montez says, "Look, I need you to talk to Ron first." So Courtney called Ron and to just, let's see 5 minutes of what an interaction would be with a potential new home buyer and her first meeting with her financial services loan officer. Are we ready? All right, let's go. Ring, ring. Courtney.
Hi, Ron. How are you doing today?
Courtney, I'm doing great. How's your day going?
My day is going great. I'm contacting you today because I'm interested in purchasing my first home.
Excellent. So first of all, you have a wonderful realtor, Montez. He's going to help you navigate through this whole market. I'm going to help you get finance for a property, something that's affordable, something that makes sense long-term for you. And then I'm going to hand the ball to Montez, and he's going to help you find that house that's perfect for you. And I'll tell you this, as soon as you walk in the house, you're going to know it's yours. The one that you love, you're going to know it. You're going to feel it. That's how home ownership works. But I'm going to take you through a series of questions. We're going to talk about the application, but mainly in order to get approved for a mortgage, we focus on 3 qualifying factors. That's going to be your credit, that's going to be your income, and your assets. Okay. So, on a very high level, we need a combination of those three things to cross certain thresholds, and then I can let you know how much you will be approved for. So without stating in reality what your credit score is, I would ask you a little bit about the last time you looked at your credit score. Number one, I would ask you how much you're paying for your rent right now or your housing payment, because interest rates are one thing, but I like to focus on payment. I like to focus on where you're paying now, what's comfortable for you, and then we would work around your payment and then figure out what's a comfortable home price based on that. There are many times when you can get approved for a certain level based on your credit, income, and assets, but we want to be responsible in terms of lending so that it's affordable, it's a long-term decision, it's a huge decision, and ultimately, although most people are not in a loan or a mortgage for 30 years, it is a 30-year contract. So we got to think long-term, we got to think financially smart, and we got to put you in a position that you are going to be successful, not just buying a house and now you're cash poor or you're overspending. So those are the things that we would talk about first and foremost. I need to make sure that you're comfortable with the payment. And then based on my experience, I'm able to take what's a comfortable payment for you, work backwards, and then we'll figure out a home price where you're comfortable. We'll write you a pre-approval letter and send that over to Montez, and you'll start shopping. Now, most potential or prospect first-time home buyers, they've been all over Zillow, all over Redfin. They've been looking at houses that maybe they can and can't afford. And the first thing I'll tell you is please ignore 2 things. One is please ignore the payments that are associated with these websites, because these websites are making an assumption that you're putting 20% down. So therefore, there's no mortgage insurance. And by putting 20% down, it affords you a little bit better interest rate. The way that mortgages and mortgage approvals are designed are based on an individual client's risk factor, RISK. Mortgage companies want to determine how risky your profile is. And based on that risk, you're going to pay a little bit more. The lower the credit score, the higher the interest rate. So those are the conversations that we'll have. I'm going to encourage you to take an application where you're going to basically disclose your credit, your credit score. I'm sorry, you're going to disclose your personal information, date of birth, social security, address, employment, bank account. All of those factors are going to be input into the application. And then I work for you as a loan professional, as a mortgage consultant. It's my job to build the best file possible, make it airtight, so we can hand it off to the quote unquote underwriters, which are the gatekeepers, the decision makers, the folks that are actually going to approve your loan. So my job is to make a file airtight so that it will be approved. And, the last thing that I want is to give you a pre-approval letter and Montez a pre-approval letter. And now you're out there shopping for a home, and then we can't get that loan done once you're under contract. We understand that there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of folks involved with any individual transaction, because as a buyer, when you go to buy a house, Courtney, of course, there's a seller involved, and that seller's not going to be homeless. So they're going to try to buy a house, right? And a lot of times they need the proceeds of the sale of your house to buy the next one. So we got to be really responsible, really detail oriented up front, so that we're putting you in a position to be successful, and then we can also close that loan once you're under contract. Because Montez, once you get pre-approved, he is going to find you a house very quickly, and we're going to make sure we get you to closing on time. So that would be the application phase. I'm going to collect a few documents from you, check on how long you've been receiving this income, and then we're going to determine your debt to income ratio. The debt to income ratio is a very simple formula. Your total monthly debt divided by your total monthly gross income. We come up with a percentage, make sure you get approved, and then we'll talk about your assets, which is the third part of this acronym, credit income assets. The assets is what Montez briefly described. This would be a combination of your down payment and the closing cost. And just as a rule of thumb, I like to use, again, 3 to 5% for your down payment. You can, any individual home buyer will put the minimum down payment somewhere between 3 and 5%. And then closing costs are going to be different. It varies on the size of the house. It varies on the location, the property taxes, the credit score. But as a general rule of thumb, I would say between 5 and 6% for closing costs. So depending on the house you want to buy, somewhere between 8 and 10% total. If it's a $200,000 house, we're talking 16 to 20,000 in that range. And then just quickly to touch on down payment assistance, there's a ton of down payment assistance programs, but just not every company offers those. Every individual mortgage company will only be able to offer you the programs that they can. As a mortgage broker, we have a large product suite. It allows us to do business with all different walks of life. In addition to that, we also have down payment assistance programs for folks where there's no income limitations. And Montez is correct, where there are income limitations on certain grants and down payment assistance programs, but we've got 3 or 4 that we can basically take care of your entire 3.5% down payment on an FHA loan, and there's no income thresholds. So just sharing a little bit about that process in the beginning. And I will tell you that the home buying market is robust. And I will say this, and I have plenty of proof to back it up. I can talk about real estate all day, as you can see, but the best time to buy a house is yesterday, believe me, because it's not about the rates. It's not about all of those things. It's about getting started and starting a legacy, starting great habits, starting the opportunity to build equity. Equity translates to profit for those that don't know. And real estate is a good investment. All good investments take time. It's going to take 4 or 5 years to realize a profit, to realize how that success that you started 5 years ago. All of the folks that bought houses in 2017, 2018 were able to realize a heck of a profit in 2020, 2021. I mean, the market just boomed. So if you were a part of that process 5 years before it happened, you won big. And that's what you kind of got to set up for yourself today or yesterday. That's why it's the best time to buy, because you can't realize the benefit right away. You got to let it soak. So that's my opinion on the market. It's always the best.
Let's cut the scene, yo. That was good. I almost wanted to buy another house.
Let's go, baby.
Just today. We got Ron Thomas and Montez. This is Black People versus the housing market. We're talking from if you've never bought a house to if you've bought several homes. The same things apply. The rules change. The products change. But Dr. Draper, I know you sitting like me. We eating popcorn back here. You want to jump in?
Yeah, just a little bit. I'm gonna shift the conversation just a little bit. So last year, a Hopkins couple filed a discrimination suit saying that Black homes, sellers who are Black get discriminated against more. And when they had a white person just kind of staged in their home, took down the pictures of Black people, they got a better offer for their home. Are you all finding any of that to be true? On the seller side of a person is trying to sell their home?
I think it's eye-opening. I think it's been happening for years. I'm sure it boils down to the individual that appraised that house. Every appraiser is a human being, in my opinion. So, I'm sure that is happened or has happened before. I would say if you're that couple, which just got rewarded very well too. I read that they got millions. It's unfortunate. It's still a part of everyday society. Discrimination is still occurring. It's just good that it got pointed out so that it could be put out in the news and it can be put out in the media. And it's something to be careful for. I mean, in this business, in this world, whenever something like that bad happens, I encourage all people to follow suit and, do the best thing for your family. If you feel like the discrimination can be of any factor, then yeah, you should take down those pictures. But I think I'll let Montez speak on this because he walks into houses on a daily basis, whether it be a listing or whether it be a buyer. And I think, in my opinion, he would probably tell a seller or to listen, let's stage your home so it fits everybody. Even when the appraiser comes, so probably those personal things, in my opinion, if they were consulted correctly, and it's not my field, so I'm not saying, but they should probably be taken down.
Right.
Jump in, Montez.
Yeah, jump in, Montez. How should people? What's the best advice to get the best price for your
You're still on mute, just in case.
for your home?
So for me, I always tell, like, no matter black or white, please put your personal items away, because number one, we don't want, like, people walking through your house. Oh, I know so-and-so, because they see your family pictures and everything. Like, we want to eliminate, as much emotional or the controversial things as possible. So it's like, take your items and put them away. And also because we want to minimize you in this situation, because you no longer, once you decide that you want to sell your house, you no longer live in that house. As much as your personal items need to be out that house as possible. So when a new buyer is walking through that home, they can imagine their family in that house. They can imagine their items in that house. So number one, in a perfect world, those items should be put away and they should be prevalent anyway. And I mean, I get it sometimes too. Like, let's just say a seller is working from home, like, and then the appraiser, he or she just happens to let the appraiser in, and now it's kind of like alerted that, okay, that it's a colored person, selling this home. So I mean, it's certain circumstances like
that. Color, Montez. When you go back to the color purple, when you go back, man.
Color everything, yeah. So I mean, like, it's certain circumstances like that, but you just will hope that wouldn't be the case, right? And then at the end of the day, it has to make sense, because it's comps and things of that nature. It's different. Because for me, with my clients,
explain comps real quick for people who never heard that word. Comps
are like comparable properties that have sold within the last 180 to 300 days. There are those available too. So if you get like just a crazy valuation that's like significantly lower than what your neighbor house sold for, it's kind of like, I mean, if it's in a ballpark, okay, but if it's like significantly lower, it's like, what in the world? Like, I should fight this. Like, you can kind of get a gauge when something is completely unreasonable. Like I sold one of my houses, my personal houses, like three months ago, and my neighbor house sold for $516. I got it under contract. I had a buyer at $510. The appraisal came in at $475. So that's like that was a big difference. I mean, granted, mine was just a tad smidge bit smaller than my neighbor's house, but like $475, I thought that was completely unreasonable. So I spent the entire weekend fighting the appraisal and things of that nature. And after fighting it, I had got the value readjusted to $490. That buyer ended up walking away because they just didn't feel comfortable purchasing at $490 after the valuation, quote unquote, came in at $475. I put it back on the market and got a buyer at $500. It appraised at $500 and it sold at $500. The first appraiser that I got, though, he said, man, you would be hard pressed trying to get any evaluation over this $475 number. The second time it appraised, no problem. There was no value problem. There was no nothing. So, I mean, it's really subjective. I could say if you send 6 appraisers out to the same house, they'll probably all come out with a different valuation. But again, like Ron said, we're all human. Some people have preconceived notions about certain areas. Some people have histories in certain areas. So again, appraisals are all human, and that all probably goes into it a little bit.
How much is the appraisal?
Oh my God, they're expensive. Appraisal is about $500 to $700 these days.
$550 on average.
Wow.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So your advice, I mean, other than remove your personal effects, any other advice to people who are trying to sell a house?
Yeah, Oh no, I was just gonna say get it staged, have it as clean as possible as can, because it's just something about, like, let's just say when you walk into, like, the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons, like, and you smell like all of those beautiful aromas, and it just feels clean, it feels luxe, it feels first class. It's just something about it. It's just like, oh, I don't know. You're just willing to pay more. So the valuation just feels like it's more because it's just like, it smells good, it looks good. It's like, it has a nice substance to it, So hey, that's what my advice would be, because
So we're all talking about selling houses right now, and you brought up staging, and some people may and may not know what staging is, but they probably have seen staging.
Mhm.
Go through staging real quick. These are the people who are trying to sell a house, and I noticed in this market, it's not taking long for these houses to sell. They move pretty quickly these days. But
Because sometimes you have to sell to be able to buy. So that's why I'm brought up.
right. So what's the staging like, and is it a big cost, Montez?
So for me, I have some preferred relationships with my stages that to offer my clients really, really competitive pricing, because on average, we're staging about 3 homes a month. So it's like, she can afford to give my clients a better price because it's more, a more consistent amount of business. But on average, I would say budget between $1,700 to $2,500. However, if you're one of my clients, that won't be your price. Because
and y'all better follow Montez if you're in the Baltimore, DC, Virginia area. He's gonna hook you up. But if you're somewhere else in the world, staging. So do you think the staging increases the price enough to cover the staging costs?
Absolutely, because again, you got to think some buyers don't have vision. So for me, I had vision. My mom, she was just she's a very decorative woman and things of that nature. So I grew up with her. So in dragging me to Home Goods and all of these designer stores and everything. So I just naturally had vision for what I wanted to do with my house and things of that nature. But everybody is different. Some parents didn't prioritize that with their kids, nor they just not artistic or creative. So they need vision. So to walk into a house and see how everything is laid out and to have modern furniture placed, it's just like, wow, like, they're taking people. Sometimes I've seen they're taking pictures of the staging and taking videos. I want to set my house up exactly like this. And then sometimes staging is good because the dining room may look very small, but if you have prop furniture there, it's like now you just overcame the objection of, oh, can I get a dining room table in here? It's like, yes, you can, because you see it. Or a bedroom looks very small to the eye, but it very well could fit all of your furniture in an appropriate manner. So now, instead of somebody having an objection that, oh, I don't want to buy this house because the bedroom is too small, it's like, oh, shoot, it actually works in here. I can get a bed, a full size or a queen size bed in here, and a dresser, and still have a walkway room. Because sometimes to the eye, it's just hard for us to map it out.
Yeah. I think you got to spend some money to make some money. And when somebody's selling a house, every single day that house is unsold, they're paying per diem mortgage. So it's costing them to not stage the house if you look at it. So I like to look at things from both sides of it. There's a per diem on the mortgage. So, I would definitely encourage. I think there are statistics out there that show houses that are staged sell a lot faster. So you're spending money one way or another, whether it be your mortgage payment because you got to sit an extra month and pay that, or you pay for the staging to get it moved quickly.
Man, that is great advice. You just tuned in and just dropped in during your lunch, or if you're watching from Africa or somewhere around the world, good evening to you. Welcome to the Chicken Box. We're talking about Black people versus the housing market. When you think of home ownership, gentlemen, how important is that to our community?
I mean, I think it's one of the most important things. And I've been a homeowner since 25, so I can attest to the fact.
You're only 26 now, Ron.
That's 26 and a half, baby. But yeah, it's like I can attest to it because when you buy a house, right, it takes habits to buy. It takes strong habits to buy a house. They're not just giving anybody a house, although, it's not as hard as it may feel. But at the end of the day, it does take good habits. You have to have decent credit. You have to have a job for several years at least. It doesn't have to be the same job, but you have to have employment for several years. And you got to have a little skin in the game. You got to have a little bit of money saved up. So these take good habits to build. And when you develop these habits, these are small little confidence builders. And then you buy a house and now your confidence is more. And the reason why I say it's so important to buy a house is because it leads you down a path of more wins, more wins, more wins, more wins, until you get to the point where you're like, look, I can do anything. If I bought this house and I maintained it, I can do anything. Now you got cousins and nephews and nieces and younger people that are looking up and they're like, oh, he's from where I'm from. He grew up like me. He can do it. So you're having an effect on people, whether you believe it or not. It's a domino effect for the better. So I just really believe it's the most important, aspect. Plus, it pays you over time. There are very few years in the last 100 that real estate has not appreciated. I can count them on my hand, as a matter of fact. Real estate is constantly appreciating every single day, every single month, every single year. And you're growing. So if nothing else, right, when you are renting, you're paying 100% interest, number one, because you get none of that money back. There's no write-off. There's no tax benefit. There's no equity being built. And you're also paying somebody else's mortgage. And don't think for one second that you're going to pay rent to somebody and it's less or equal to the mortgage that the landlord is paying. It just doesn't happen. So you're paying more anyway. In addition to that, again, you're paying somebody else's mortgage. Everybody that's renting is paying someone's mortgage, whether it be commercial, large apartment building, or a single family home. And it's not as hard as it may look. You just got to get started. Plus, as I mentioned before, 5 years down the road, sometimes 3 years down the road, if you want to sell, if you've got to relocate, whatever the case may be, now that property can turn into an interest-bearing investment for you where it's quote unquote passive income, or you can sell, get a nice chunk of profit and then lend it to leverage other investments, leverage to the next home to give you a better interest rate. Not many people that buy their first home, it's their dream home. So they're working on something. And, that's the way that it should be. Home ownership should be the foundation of our community, period, period.
Man, well said. Run for mayor, okay?
Not yet.
Montez, what do you say to that same thing? How important is home ownership in the Black community?
Oh, it's very, very important. I mean, like most millionaires or billionaires, they own real estate. So I mean, it's just been like super, super imperative to me, and just to think like what you can do with houses and like the overall beauty of it. So I currently own 11 homes. We're probably about to sell 2 soon because I do a lot of redevelopment. I love development as much as I love, selling homes and assisting my clients with, purchasing, selling, and helping their real estate goals come true. I have a strong passion and affection for development of homes, right? Turning something beautiful turning something dilapidated or that needs work into something beautiful, and then reselling it to an end buyer who just wants a turnkey home. So my first home that I purchased a year ago, the one that I just sold for $500, I originally bought that for $395,000, and I probably put about 35 to 40 into it, and I just sold it for $500,000. So for me, like the proceeds from that was life-changing because now I was able to utilize the proceeds to hire an assistant to make that investment into my business, right? So just to think about how could that investment into my business change the life of my family, right? Because, on average, when you hire an assistant, that's supposed to help increase business production by 20% or more. Right. And also free me up to have a little bit of a better work-life balance. So now, but where did it all start from? Utilizing real estate, as another income stream, on the side, right, to now fuel, my business and things of that nature. And then also just I'll give you another example. I had a client who they lived in a house for 5 years. They bought their first house 5 years ago. They just sold it with me. And they just walked away with $150,000. So, okay, they used $40,000 of that $150 to put towards the down payment of their next home. And they had that additional $110 they used $20 to pay off debt. and they're saving those other proceeds, right, to help them deal with their new monthly mortgage payment and just to have a savings on hand. So, and they're not actively flipping homes or anything. They're not deeply involved in a real estate community. They just bought a house 5 years ago and just simply lived in it and made mortgage payments. They didn't do anything special, but now look at how that's impacted them and their family paradigm. They're debt free, used 50 to purchase their new forever home, and now they have roughly 80 to 90 left in savings to help them feel more comfortable or to invest it in whatever they want to invest it in. So that's
if those reasons aren't good enough for you, change the channel. Black people, we have to own property. We have to have something, even if it's just for generational wealth, to pass down to your children and your children's children, to have something to give somebody else a better start. And I think from what you've heard today, and if you just tuned in, you can go back. It is ways, especially as a first-time home buyer, that you can get in these houses. I'm talking about you can control. Think about it. You can control an asset for let's say $200,000 for just 5% of that, or 7, or whatever it is with the closing cost. For 7% of 200,000, you're controlling an asset for 200,000. If that's like the best. An appreciating asset. It doesn't get no better than that. It really doesn't. So look, what's on your mind about the housing market? So the person, we know we should go to the financial services first, get your letter of approval, see what you qualify for, then find a competent person. If you are in the Maryland area, and Ron handles people in 23 states, holler at these gentlemen right here. They have years of experience. They've helped a lot of people. They love helping people, and they love to just get your affairs in order, whether you're selling or buying your new home. Taryn, put up their information again where you can get in contact with them. All right, that's Montez. Follow him on IG, and Ron, Captain Mortgage. All right. I love it. So Courtney, all right, you had your experience. You ready to buy your house now?
Yes. I have to build up to that.
At least stop moving down.
I'm definitely interested.
So the person who's moving down, do they talk to you now, Ron, while they're saving up or putting a plan together, or?
Yeah, it's a good time to start. The only thing you're risking is a credit report, a credit inquiry, and we can do a soft pull so it doesn't hurt you. Just ignore the myths, ignore the people, the naysayers, get started so you can at least get an idea of what you need to do. The biggest thing that's holding people back and preventing them from buying a house is their own apprehension. It's their own inner thoughts that say, hey, I'm not ready yet, or I need time. You need time for what? Like, what are you waiting for? And I really mean that, because the faster you get started, the faster 5 years gets here and you can realize that benefit. And I mean that with all my heart. I see it every single day. The testimonies of people that buy and successful. I don't think I remember one client, and I've dealt with thousands. Believe me when I tell you, I dealt with thousands. I can't remember one person calling me and say, Ron, I made a horrible decision buying a house.
Facts. Dr. Draper, I know you've bought a few houses in your life, and it sounds like you're ready to sell one. You perked up for the staging.
Oh, no, I'm not necessarily ready to sell one, but people do sell to buy another one. I think also, and Montez and Ron can weigh back in on this, sometimes we want to buy above what we want to buy our first home above what we can afford. We have this vision of a home, and I think there's value. You all can weigh in on this. I think you have it somewhat starting somewhere. It might not be your ideal home. It might not be 4 bedrooms and a pool and, a garden and a pond or whatever. But sometimes our expectations are really high. And so, Montez, you talked about being in the Baltimore market, and I know we have viewers from all over the world. Baltimore is probably a typical American city. What's the range of of houses, I mean, that you've seen that are, you know, good investments for people to actually live in, though? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in Baltimore. I mean, and it ranges, right? I mean, because like, let's just say, hey, we're in the inner harbor. You know, we have $1 million penthouses and $700,000 townhomes with high taxes. But then if you go a little bit further out, like let's just say we right on the outskirts around Harlem Park, we have like some opportunities from 100 to 200,000 with a lower the property taxes aren't that much. So I mean, it really just depends. There's so many different areas, but I mean, the best way to find an investment is you want to probably get in on the early stages, but just look at what the municipality is doing around the area. Read articles on that particular area. Are there new shopping centers being built? Are there new schools being built? New libraries, right? Like what is potentially happening to this area to cause it to eventually be more popular and go up over time. So like Morgan State, like Lake Montebello Terrace, so I helped a client purchase a home there about 2 years ago. I think he purchased for around $250. That same property, he probably could get $350 right now, just because of all the work that Morgan State is doing and all the different, how far advanced they are, of adding different centers and different buildings for learning facilities and things of that nature. So he is just texting me every 3 months. Thank you. Just saying thank you to say thank you, because it's just.
So you say keep my house in Morgan Park, right? Keep my house.
Well, yeah, until you write it, like, you know what? Listen, if I can get, like, you got to just have your freedom number. Like, you know what? If I can walk with 100, 150, that's my number. Then I'm fine with parting ways with it. Let somebody else make some money off of it. So you just gotta have your freedom. Like, you gotta have your freedom number. Like,
I like
your
freedom number.
You gotta have your freedom number.
So look, when you just said that, when you went through the different neighborhoods, and I noticed this from living in several cities, you know how it appears that the better schools are in a certain neighborhood, right? Especially in the city, right? And they typically are in not a strong Black neighborhood. It looks like it, and the houses in those other neighborhoods are so high that have the best schools. Have you ever run across that, Montez? Because it's people who are looking for good schools for their kids, quote unquote good schools. And I look at it as kind of a redlining thing, but I'm just throwing it out there. What do you guys think about it?
I mean, I think that we've come so far, but we have so far to go. I think when we create the inventory in these neighborhoods, meaning you have folks that have bought real estate and now they are leaning into investing, so they're rehabbing these properties and they're making the neighborhoods look a lot better. It's attractive. It starts bringing interest as to how to get some ancillary help with maybe state or government or city to help increase the value of these neighborhoods and bring some staple stores in. I think we're seeing it in Edmondson Village, just got purchased. That's a local community here that is up and coming with the affordable housing across the street. The strip mall just got purchased. Who knows what's going to happen, but it looks like growth, and that growth will continue to be gradual. Again, there are so far to go. School systems, I really can't comment on as far as like the city, but to your point, yes, they are looking for better places. Redlining is a thing. I mean, it's literally a red line separating one neighborhood, I guess, good from bad. That is a thing. And I think it just is up to every individual family to do the responsible and to think about ownership. So if one person does that, then it starts to spread to multiple people, and people are buying back their neighborhoods where they grew up in and helping to, bring that value to the community. And then I think the school systems will follow. Again, I'm no politician and I'm not an expert in these categories, but it just seems like when you invest back in the neighborhoods that you grew up in and the block starts to flip and start to look around, we're seeing evidence of those areas being up and coming. But you need a push from the city, because where they're spending money is where you want to spend money. And a lot of those are in these challenged neighborhoods where, you know, poverty is a history of it. But you're right, people want good schooling, and there's a ton of factors that play into that. I can't get off of ownership, because if a bunch of people in the same neighborhood want to improve their housing, there are not only there are loans for that, there are rehab positions for that, and you know, it's up to folks that grew up in these neighborhoods, that care about these neighborhoods, to actually make a difference. It's up to us to make change. If it's going to be, it's up to me. That's how I live it. So that's the only thing I can comment on.
Absolutely. So we talk about Dr. Draper. I know you've grown up in the city. How strong are the community organizations that you've encountered?
It depends on the community. Some community organizations are very, very strong. For example, if you go into the Upton community, the Upton Planning Committee, they have a lot of development going on. That's one of those areas Montez probably is thinking about, where they're rehabbing these houses and selling them, and the comps are up to now like 275, 300,000. But if you want to do a business project there, we are redeveloping a mansion there in Upton. The Upton Planning Committee, you get vetted before them. You just don't come in and say, oh, you know what, I think I want to put a business in the middle of your community. They say, no, you come to our meeting first. Tell us what your project is. Tell us how it's going to benefit the community. Tell us if you're doing a housing rehab, tell us that you are rehabbing these houses for African-American families, and maybe we'll support your project. So that is an example of a very, very strong community association. And there are others. There are other strong community associations throughout Baltimore, some stronger than others, but there are those.
Well, I like how we brought the community back into it. The hour's wrapping up. I know these guys have some deals to make and some houses to sell. We thank you guys for jumping on, sharing your time. This is a part of the show where we get on the box. If you just tuned in, this is the Afro. It's the Chicken Box, powered by the Afro American newspaper. Yeah, 131 years old. Maryland's oldest Black business and the third oldest Black business in the country. And we're still here to inform, educate, and inspire. And we bring different people on. Listen, it's not always for you. That's why you hit the share button. And then a lot of times in our community, we're selfish. We learn something and we don't share it. So if you think this information can value anybody that follows you, share it, because somebody is looking to sell a house. Somebody's looking to get their first house. Somebody's just looking to learn, like they say, get the education about buying a house and about finances. So please share and go to afro.com. We're not owned by any of these other organizations. We've been a family-run, tight company for over 131 years, and that's only because we support each other. So for less than 2 Uber Eats, $40, you can get an Afro subscription. That's digital, and if you want the physical paper, it's $100. That helps us bring on new Gen Zers and new reporters, and we have up-to-the-minute news on afro.com. Check us out. We're going to be here the next 131 years. And so here's when we get on the box. And so whatever is on your mind about this housing market, or you just need to get something off your chest, you can get up on the box and speak your truth. So I'll start with you, Courtney. Speak your truth about, or get on the box. You're on the box.
Sure thing. Ron and Montez, thank you so much for joining us today on the Chicken Box. I personally feel like I learned a lot about home ownership and like the housing market in general. And I'm getting to the age where I'm interested in home ownership. So I feel like I understand more of the process and the steps now. So thank you for all of your knowledge. It was very insightful. And I feel like it's essential for us as like the Black community to share this information, because not everyone knows about it. So I love your passion for what you do. I can tell that you both have like deep passion for it. So thank you again for joining us and for everything you do.
Thank you.
And I'm off the box.
Impeccable.
I'm on mute, right? Montez, you're on the box, right? We got a cup that says you're on mute. I need it. Pull it up.
I'm on the box.
You're on the box. Anything, how you feel about whatever you want, or the housing market?
Yeah. So I mean, I would just leave everybody with like, don't focus on trying to time the market or trying to find the best time to purchase. Just focus on your time in the market. It's all cyclical. If you're going to purchase, if you purchase and you want to, if you plan to live in it the next 5 or 10 years, it's going to be a lot of highs and lows over the next 5 to 10 years. Again, it's all cyclical, like the stock market. It goes up and down, up and down. Just get really, really buddy with your estate professional and track the market, right? And just like, hey, Montez, is it a good time for me to get out? Would it be a good time for me to get out now? What is my home valuations looking out? And you can just track that over the next 5 to 10 years, but you can never time the real estate market, but just focus on your time in the market. If it's a flip, you have to be a little bit more analytical, but if you know that you want to live there the next 5 or 10 years, like, hey, the best time to purchase a house is whenever you're ready. So I would say just do it. And again, just closely monitor it. But, that's pretty much my opinion on the housing market, me owning several houses. And I'm just like, hey, and I bought pretty much in every market over the last 3 years. So no matter what the market it was.
Absolutely. Dr. Draper, you're on the box.
Let me also thank both of you for being on today. I love your energy. I love the fact that you all work together. And I love the fact that you encourage people, no matter where they are in their home buying quest, to go on and get started. Because a lot of times people think, I can't afford it. I only make X. I don't do this and I don't do that. But it sounds as if people can start anywhere and start to get prepared to purchase their first home. And if they already have a home, there's some tactics that they can use, strategies that they can use to get the best bang for their buck going forward. And you are so right. Real estate is timeless. All these other things out here that people are investing in, people are investing in a whole lot of things. They're in the crypto market. They thought the NFT market was going to be what's hot, but real estate has been consistent and constant. But thank you, brothers, just for being so well informed and well versed and working together, because it helps our community. When we own property, it helps to raise the levels in our community. And when people think about it, if they're paying $1,000 a month for rent, like you said, they're paying 100% interest because they have no return on that investment. So thank you.
And you're off the box. I'm gonna jump on the box real quick. Man, we got 2 young superstars, Ron and Montez, who have put the time in to learn. I would say don't channel this journey alone. Find a professional that you can trust and you feel has your best interest at hand, and give them the opportunity to help navigate your ship. And whatever you have to do, whether you have to, I'm talking about claw, save, pack your lunch, minimalize everything in your life to get to the point where you can own some property, I would say do it, even if you start right now in your mind. So I would say, man, if you don't work to get a house, you might as well not work to get anything. So we need to own the homes that we are envisioning, and the ones that you really want, like Montez said and Ron said, your dream home, put that up on your vision board and begin to look at it and visualize it and get to the steps to really, because you can do it. You can do it. I'm here to say you can do it, and you should do it right now, even if it's just in your mind. Ron, you are on the box.
Thank you. I appreciate it again. You guys are all wonderful. This has been a very fun conversation. Appreciate it. I guess what comes to mind in the words of 50 Cent is, you're going to be as successful as the people around you, right? So what I mean by that is build your team when you're trying to buy a house. If I shoot 1,000 jump shots and he shoots 100 a day, who do you think is going to probably be a better jump shooter, right? So work with professionals that have experience, that are going to have your best interests in mind, and that are going to navigate you through this home buying season. Secondly, in the grand scheme of things, overall, let's share freely with our community. Let's offer great advice. Let's offer our wins as advice to people. Let's share those success stories so that other people can also share in those success. And what I mean by that is most communities help each other. When one person makes money, 5 people make money. We feel like we got to keep it under our vest. Let's share freely and watch how your blessings increase. On that note, I would leave you with something that, to echo what Kevin Impeccable says, is to do everything you can to get enough money to put it aside so you can buy a house. Budget, trim the fat. You're spending on things every single day that you don't have to. You could be putting that money away. It'll help you develop good habits, which is what you're going to need to buy a house anyway. Peace, y'all. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. This has been Black People versus the Housing Market. This is just to stir you up. This show is just to stir you up, to make you think differently, to make you think about something that you might haven't thought about in a long time, or maybe you're already thinking this way, and maybe now that you're thinking this way, you can share it. So until next time, God willing, thanks again, Ron Thomas. Connect with him. We put up his IG, and Montez McCray. Guys, I wish I knew you guys when I was first starting out, back when I was 25. I bought my first house as well. And I wasn't happy with my realtor because I felt like I could have got a lower price, and I think she was trying to get a higher price for her commission. You know, I'm saying, well, put this offer in. And I remember it was $76,000. And I wanted to offer like 65. But you know what I mean? But that's how long it goes back. But it was a wonderful experience, and it stemmed and moved on to bigger and better things in the future. But hey, keep doing it. Keep setting the mark at excellence. And we're gonna be looking out for you. And if anybody I know looking to buy a house, I'm gonna send them your way in the Baltimore market. And I hope you guys do. So have a fantastic day, Dr. Draper, Courtney, Montez, and Ron. Thank you for being on the Chicken Box. Now y'all can go get some lunch. Talk to you.